All right, welcome back again. It's Precious. I am here. We're going to continue from where we stopped. I said we're going to talk of the insured, uninsured, direct, and indirect costs of not meeting up to health and safety standards in the workplace, which falls under the economic reasons to of meeting health and safety standards. Now, I also talked of the four duties of an employer to an employee, which is here safe place of work, safe plant and equipment. I said the place of work should be safe, the environment should be okay for the job. There should be security measures in place, safe plant and equipment. Every equipment or plant before you should be inspected, to ensure they are safe and even after use, and should be kept properly. Should also have guards to cover up dangerous parts. And workers should be trained as well, instructed to ensure competency of staff and safe system of work. Yes, the system of work employed should be safe and all of that. Well, let's talk of the direct and indirect costs. It says direct costs are measurable costs arising directly from the accidents. Yes, these are costs that can be measured, like when maybe an accident or an explosion, maybe a gas explosion in the workplace, and then some of the buildings are damaged, some of the equipment are damaged. We can count the cost, we can know the costs of these things, you know, raw materials. Yes, we know that these things, we know how much they were bought. Yes, so those are direct costs. Indirect costs are those which arise indirectly as a consequence of the event. Indirect costs are often difficult to quantify precisely and may be hard to identify. In certain circumstances, they may be extremely high. Indirect costs are usually the most tragic of them all because they can't be quantified. Sometimes they can be quantified, and they are not even, they can't even be, not all of them can be taken note of. Yes, I'll explain further here what we mean by indirect cost. Now, examples of direct costs are you have fines in the criminal courts, like I said earlier, when something happens to a victim and you know he pays compensation, he gets the first aid treatment. This first aid kits cost money. The sick worker gets paid. He repairs the damaged buildings and repair the spoiled machines, or even has to get a new one. Loss of or damaged products, he loses his products, he loses his raw materials. The production time is also lost. The organizations, what I mean, they lose their production time, and this is money as well. And then they now have to work over time to make up for the lost time, and then the cost of rehabilitation for the injured worker, and the list continues like that. If you check further, so many of these things like this direct cost. Then the indirect ones, those ones that cannot really be measured, like the loss of experienced staff. You lose some of your experienced staff, some very good staff that you had, you lose them. You lose your reputation as a good business organization to the public, and people lose their trust in you. You even lose your trust in your customers. The loss of morale from your staff. Sometimes this could lead to industrial action like strike, because the society may not even be happy with the way the the incident or accident that happened. you know um Cost of training and temporary replacement of labor. You have to replace your labor, you have to, you know so many of them like that, and this cost cannot be measured. If we check down, you will see the iceberg theory, where the indirect cost is deep in the sea, larger than the seen direct cost. As we go down, you will see it clearly and you understand what I mean. Now, some of these costs can be insured, while some may not be insured. The direct costs can be insured. You can insure some of your plants and equipment. You can even insure for the treatments or the dangers or the injuries or the medical treatment of your workers. That's what they call worker compensation. So that when things go wrong, if there's any injury or accident to a worker, because those things have been insured, because it has been insured, this is, it may not come, the cost to meet up those things may not come directly from the organization but from the insurance firm. But not all of it can be insured. You can't insure your public damage, of your business reputation. You can't insure the fines and the courts. Yes, you can't insure losing goodwill to your customers. You can't insure lack of morale from your workers. You can't insure the loss of lives. You can't insure the loss of experienced staff. You can't insure strike actions. So, and these things outweigh the direct costs. So we are going to look more at them. Look at insured costs. Insured costs: damage to plants, buildings, equipment, compensation paid to workers, medical costs, and civil claims. But you can't insure production delays. You can't insure loss of raw materials due to accident. You can't insure accident investigation time. You can't insure criminal fines. You can't insure overtime. You can't insure hiring of new. You can't insure your business reputation with money. No, you can't insure that. Once you things have gone wrong, once such incident or accident has occurred, and you know things like this happen, the money can't make up for this uninsured cost, unfortunately. Now let's, in 3 words, sum up the reasons why an organization should manage health and safety in 3 words. Now, when questions like this come up, you just give them what they want in 3 words. It says: one, economic, moral, and legal. These are the 3 words. It says give 3 direct costs and indirect costs that may arise from a workplace accident. Of course, if you go up, you can see them. Direct costs up there: loss of damage to, let's say, loss of or damage to buildings, and the answers are up there. If you want to check them, you can go back, rewind the video, and you see the answers. Or if you have the book, you can see them yourselves. There are more things to do, so let's move on. Now, these are the role of national government and international bodies. Now, the role of government and national bodies, like I said earlier, is to give you guidelines, code of practice. Now we have the ILO. The ILO has what will I say, two um, rules, or two, what's the word now? Two things they use. You have the convention and you have the recommendation. Convention C155 and recommendation R164, which applies to the workplace health and safety standards. Yes, most countries have established legal standards and meet or exceed the minimum standards set out in C155 and C1R4. Now, these standards are placed on the employers to ensure that the workplace are safe. Yes, that's just the whole basis of these things. Their standards are placed on employers to ensure that they are safe, and failure to comply with them will lead to enforcement action and prosecution through the criminal courts, and sometimes it could lead to fines or imprisonment. And it ensures that work-related injuries should result in compensation being paid to the victims. Yes, just like I said there are some places where there are, in some settings, where there could be worker compensation. Yes, this um, can be categorized under insured costs, because it can be, this part of it can be insured if a worker gets injured. You know, now the ILO, the recommendation forms the basis. Yes, why the convention just supports the recommendation. It says the ILO adopted the Occupational Safety and Health Convention. It describes the policy for the health and safety at both national level and level of the individual undertaking. The recommendation supplements the C155. Okay, the convention is one that sets the basis of the policy for health and safety. Pardon me, I made an error, I made a mistake. The convention sets the policy and the basic policy for the health and safety both at national level and the level of individual undertaking. While the recommendation supplements the C155, right? The recommendation supplements the convention and provides more detailed guidance on how to comply with the policies. In particular, it identifies obligations that might be placed on the employers and employees in order to achieve the basic goal of a safe and healthy environment. Make no mistakes about it, as much as the employer has his duty or owes the worker a duty of care to ensure that he works safely, the employee also has his own role to play, and his roles is that he has to comply with the cooperate with the employer to ensure that the health and safety standards are met. He is to also take care of his own self and the take caution for the things he does and things he doesn't do, and the people around him too. Yes, and he's also to ensure that he uses his personal protective equipment. Yeah, so you can read this up, but the major point here is this convention sets the basic policy for the employers, to be met, and then the convention supplements it, giving them detailed explanation, their obligations, and their roles. That's what the ILO uses these two things for. Yes. So now under the ILO of Article 16, please try to read this. The employer's responsibilities under the ILO. Now, these you can, if Nebosh asks you a question of the employer's responsibilities, you can tell them the first four I wrote and also add this one too with it. But these ones are the convention part of it. They can ask you what the convention says the employer's responsibilities are. Now they are different. Yes, they are different, but they are similar too. It says here that to ensure that the workplace machinery, equipment, and process under the control and safe and without risk to health. To ensure that the chemical, physical, and biological substance and agent under control are safe without risk to health, and to provide adequate protective clothing and protective equipment to prevent risk of accident or of adverse effect of health. Now, it says here that the workplace, the machinery, and the equipment on and process under the control are safe without risk to health. If you look at these statements, you will see that it's very similar to safe plant machinery, safe system of work, and safe working environment are put in this first point. While the second one, it says all the chemical, physical, and biological substance under the control are safe and without risk to health. That's the second one. Then it says provide adequate PPE, which of course I said earlier in the beginning. So like I said, I'm going to stop here. If you can get the book and read along, it will be a lot easier for you. You can ask me questions later. Thank you.